I'm Scott L. Miller. It is the 9th of May, 2022, and this is my daily vlog of life as a world traveler. And today, as I have for the last several, I am filming in Friendswood, Texas, a suburb of Houston. I have about 6 days left before I am returning to Costa Rica and then on to Nicaragua, and we'll be back doing Nicaragua footage for some time. But today I am here. It is Monday, and I don't have a lot to report. So before, I'm just going to give a quick spoiler. I've had a lot of questions come up recently about, can I work in Nicaragua? And I'm going to answer that right after the daily. So stick around. I'm going to answer that, and I'm going to answer it quickly and then give you an explanation. So you don't have to stick around if you don't, but do like and subscribe, please, so that I don't feel that I have to make you hang out for all the extra explanation. It's a trust thing, guys. Okay, so today, mostly just a work day. Dominic and I did have to run around and go to the bank. We had to get a bunch of paperwork. The paperwork required by the Texas Department of State is something that the bank says they've never heard of and they have no idea how to do, so that's making us nervous. And we're not going to be able to go to Austin tomorrow because we were not able to get a hold of our attorney, who we hope has our house paperwork because he had power of attorney. We weren't in the country. Let me tell you, living abroad sometimes creates a lot of big complications that people don't really realize how it's going to affect them with simple things like when you get back to the States, no one in the US knows how to do any paperwork for anything international and everything just falls apart. Like you go to the bank and ask for stuff in apostille, you don't need them to do it. They just have to give you the paperwork for the government to do the apostille. And they're like, we don't know what apostille is. And it's like, you're a bank. Like, this is a normal part of banking. Every bank in the world has to do stuff in apostille. Like, what is going on? All right, anyway. So most of our day was just dealing with that. This morning, we were at the house, but Madeline had her white coat ceremony out at University of Texas, out in Galveston. So all the family was out there for that in the morning. This afternoon, I do want to bring this up. I know I talk about Taco Bell a lot when we're here because boy, do we miss it. But so I went to Taco Bell, and for the first time, I didn't have Dominica with me, which means I didn't go through the drive-thru. I hate drive-thrus. You don't get any time to look at the menu. The menu always changes. Especially as a traveler, when you get back to Taco Bell or anywhere, the menu is different. When you live in a place, like you go to McDonald's every day or, every week or whatever, the changes are gradual. But when you disappear for 6 months at a time and you come back, the menus change way more than you realize, and you're kind of thrown off. So every time I go to order something, I'd like a 7-layer burrito. I've been getting that for 20 years. Nope, not in the menu. Then you're scrambling. Oh, what can I get? Oh no, we're out of that ingredient. Oh, I'm scrambling again. So especially when you have to order for other people, I find drive-thrus really frustrating because you're constantly trying to figure out what is available, how to order, and then when you have to change things, how do you make sure you got everything you were supposed to get when you're on the fly changing what it is you're ordering? I just find it very frustrating for no reason. So I just pull in, walk in, and order inside whenever I'm on my own. It just makes life easier. I have no idea why people use drive-thrus. I mean, I get it when if it's just you and like, hey, I just need a taco. Hey, that's easy because you can just change your mind. I order whatever it is you feel like and you don't have to worry about it. But when you're ordering for other people, which is always what I'm doing, it feels nuts that people want to go through the drive-thru. It's so much unnecessary work. So, plus, if you're the driver and you're alone, checking all the food to make sure you got the right thing is really hard when you're in the store. It's easy to look through and go, oh, I'm missing a taco. Oh, let's get that. 2 seconds and you're done. It just solves all the problems. So I went in and they have electronic ordering now, which is not a surprise because lots of places do, but it's great. And as vegetarians, this was the best thing ever. I walk in and I'm like, wait, there's a big button that says veggie mode. I hit that and they have such a large organized vegetarian menu now. It's incredible. I had no idea. I mean, I've always known Taco Bell has lots of vegetarian options and you can customize anything you want, but when you go and do veggie mode, they have a giant new menu of official items that they've pre-selected and set up for you and have all the nutritional information and all that stuff that you can easily order, and they're not going to get wrong because it's standard stuff on their menu, just stuff that most people don't know about. So I was really impressed by that. So I hit that and we ordered a lot of stuff we don't normally get to try things out. It was awesome. And everybody really enjoyed the food who got it. So perfect. Okay, that was my day. Tomorrow we are not going to Austin. We are trying to get the rest of the paperwork. We're hoping to go to Austin on Wednesday, and that means tomorrow's the 10th, Wednesday's the 11th, Thursday is Kat's birthday on the 12th, and when we expect her to be here in Houston. Wow, there's a lot going on. Okay. Now on to our question. Can you, this is for expats, so we're assuming Americans, Canadians, Brits, and of course most other people apply the same. Can you work if you move to Nicaragua? So there's a couple different things. Are you a tourist in Nicaragua, i.e. you're there on the 90, 30-30-30 system, you're on a tourist visa, you have to do the border runs, that kind of stuff. That's one set of people who are expats in Nicaragua. And then there's residency. Are you a permanent resident of Nicaragua? And how does that affect you? So the quick answer, we're just going to do this real fast. Yes, you may work while in Nicaragua, but your work has to come from outside. Your pay has to come from somewhere else. So if you're a remote worker to the United States, that's fine, absolutely fine. Nicaragua loves that you do that. Come work in Nicaragua, they basically say, right? They might as well be running ads. They love when you come to Nicaragua and work for someone else, and importantly, you don't pay taxes on that. You will, of course, spend money in the country, but you do not pay taxes on your income to Nicaragua. If you're from the United States, of course, you'll still pay taxes in the United States as normal. But a lot of places like Canada, I don't believe charge taxes locally. Of course, that's for your tax accountants in your country to figure out. But Nicaragua does not charge you taxes for money you're earning abroad. Now, the second part of that question is, can you work in Nicaragua? Can you take a Nicaraguan job? Simple answer is no, not at all. Doesn't matter what system you're under, you can't work in Nicaragua. You can work from Nicaragua to other places. You may not work in Nicaragua where you would pay Nicaraguan taxes and potentially take a job away from someone there. That's the quick answer. Now, let's give an explanation as to why it works this way. Fundamentally, the Nicaraguan government, like most governments, have one clear objective with all of this stuff. What does the best thing for their people? That's what they're concerned about. So all of their decisions are very logical based on what is good for the country. Why? So why do they let you work in the country and not charge you taxes? Well, one, it makes it highly attractive for you to do so. If you had to pay taxes while in Nicaragua, especially as an American, where you also would have to pay them in America, that does not make it, and just to be clear, there are situations where you no longer have to pay your American taxes. They're very specific. We will talk about that at some point. But if you're just coming in to visit for 6 months, you've got to pay your American taxes no matter what. Nicaragua really wants to encourage you to come in because you are bringing money into the economy that doesn't previously exist there, and you're going to spend at least some of it. They know not all of it, but you're going to buy your food in Nicaragua. You are going to pay for housing, whether it's an apartment or a hotel. You're probably going to partake of activities like volcano boarding or jungle hikes or guided tours, any number of things. Maybe you'll just pay for the ability to go on the rooftop of the cathedral in Leon, but all of those things result in money flowing into the Nicaraguan economy from the outside. So those are all positives. They create jobs, they boost the economy. So Nicaragua is very interested in encouraging that to happen, and by having complete freedom for you to work, easy access to stay for a long time, and no taxes on that, that encourages that to happen the most. If they taxed you, it may sound like, well, they would make more money, right? No, they would simply drive everyone out of the country because it would be too expensive to bother doing. It would be complicated because you'd have to figure out how to pay those taxes, and it would be discouraging because you'd be like, well, I'm not going to make nearly as much money. There's got to be a better way. Maybe I'll just stay home. Somebody would come, but the majority of people who work in that way would not do so. And so what they want to do is have that money come into the economy. And so it's very, very worth it for them to not tax because they know they're making money. They actually make more money off of the tourists and the long-term expat residents who work from outside the country than they do on the citizens who work inside the country and pay taxes. Why is that? Because the citizens who pay taxes are simply passing the same money back and forth. The total amount of money to work with stays the same, and the government just gets their small income tax and sales tax percentages. It's not completely tiny, but it's pretty small overall. When expats bring new money into the economy, that means the economy is actually growing with every dollar that comes in, or every Canadian dollar that comes in, or every pound that comes in. That money enters the economy, and there's still sales tax on it, and that money then goes to, ultimately, one way or another, it's going to go to a Nicaraguan who is then going to pay income tax on that money, and it's more money. So there's still income tax, it's just not paid by you as the expat, it's paid by whoever you're giving the extra money to at the end of the day, and it just grows the economy. So that the actual tax base in any country that does this will grow through that system, and they ultimately get more money for the citizens to do the things they need by growing that. That's why it's encouraged. That's why it's a good thing to do. You help everybody by doing this, right? The waiter that's taking your order, the guy who bought the house and is renting it to you, everybody along the system, all the people that they hire to maintain the restaurant, to clean, to do maintenance on the house, all of those people are getting at least some amount of their income from you being there as a tourist. And so this adds up, and you can do a great amount of good to the economy. Remember, this is a country that is, one, very small. The total population is very, very small, 6.5 million people. It's smaller than the city of Houston that I'm in right now by 1 million people. So we're not talking about a large economy and numbers of workers, and we're talking about a currently very depressed economy. Nicaragua is the second poorest in the Western Hemisphere and the poorest on the continents. So every little bit helps a lot. It's not like a tourist coming to America where it's 330 million well-paid people. Nobody needs extra work, so you may not be doing anybody any favors by coming to the US and working remotely somewhere else, right? It may be beneficial, but so little that nobody would ever notice. But in Nicaragua, one expat coming in, renting an apartment, hiring a cleaner, and buying food at the local restaurants may actually put meals on the table of a family, maybe not the same family all the time, but a family gets to eat every day simply because of the additional economy that you bring to the country. So you can make an actual difference to real people in a way you can't in many larger countries. So that's very important. So the second piece, so that's why they encourage you to come in and work remotely. It is totally accepted, totally promoted, 100% fine. You don't have to hide it from anybody. If they ask, are you working? The simple thing is you say, well, I work in the United States. I won't be working while here, because they don't classify what you do as work. They classify it differently. You're not working because you're not under the Social Security system. You're like just getting it's the same as if you had investments abroad. If you are looking to actually work in Nicaragua, you actually want to get a job in Nicaragua, it may seem like, but I'm going to be there, I want to work. You have to ask yourself, well, why would they want you to do this? Even in the United States, where there's a deficit of jobs, people talk about how much they fear immigrants coming in and taking the local work. Nicaragua has the same fears, but the difference is they do not have a job deficit, and they haven't for any time in the recent past. So for at least the last 10 years, and in reality probably much more, and certainly right now, they are at an all-time unemployment disaster stage. There's huge unemployment in the country. It is improving dramatically so, but it's still, while the United States is at an all-time record low unemployment, you just cannot hire people. Nicaragua is at a record high unemployment. There just aren't jobs. And so every job is a very precious commodity in the country, and they're very hopeful that when expats come into the country, they will create jobs. What they can't risk is expats taking away jobs for two reasons. One, it is the job of the Nicaraguan government, as it is of any government, to protect its own people. Yes, they want to protect expats, but they can never do so at the cost of protecting their own people, right? So protecting the Nicaraguans, and in this case, their jobs and livelihoods, is paramount. And second, there is a great concern that if an expat did come in and take a local job, that they may bank the money that they make, move out of the country, and take that money with them. That is not something that an incredibly poor country can afford to risk, because it would not be hard for an expat to come in with a lot of experience, get a job that paid pretty well, earn quite a bit, and take many equivalent salaries out of the country and really damage the economy, all while having taken a job away from a Nicaraguan on top of it. Like, the combination could be very devastating. So they basically will never allow anyone who's an expat or immigrant to come in and take away the income, the livelihood from Nicaraguans, because there just aren't enough jobs to go around. that would make no sense at all, and it would make everybody angry, right? It would make the populace angry. Why are they letting these people in to take our jobs? It would not make the government happy. They honestly are trying to help the people, right? And it just doesn't make sense. And as an expat, honestly, there are not great paying jobs in the Nicaraguan economy with any regularity. They do exist, but they're normally very specialized, and the chances that you have those skills and are looking to move to Nicaragua, the overlap doesn't really happen. There are very specialty jobs where there are exceptions. Like, are you a gold mining engineer and you're here to build the gold mine in Nicaragua? Okay, that might be an exception to the no foreigners working in country rule. Are you here to do oil prospecting and no one else is able to do so in country? Yes, there are exceptions that are possible out there. But even if you're a pretty highly skilled person, I'm a senior systems engineer and I can come in and I can do things that I don't think anyone in the local economy can do, because there's only 6.5 million people and you need a bigger market than that to even have some of these skills. Okay, they're not gonna flinch on that. It's just not important enough to take a position away from someone, because there is somebody in country who can do that job, right? Maybe you're better at it, that's possible, but is it better for the economy? Is it worth the risk? Are they going to make an exception around that? No, it's not even going to cross anyone's mind to allow that to happen. You're not going to make a list of possible exceptions to consider. Don't even entertain the idea. It's off the table. But if you did, right, that job in Nicaragua may pay only 10% what that job would pay in the United States. So it doesn't make sense if you're able to do that job. And almost any technical job, any job that's going to pay anything serious, you could do remotely, right? Not always, but almost always. And there's tons of open jobs to do remotely in the US, in Canada, in Europe. And so trying to do a local job in Nicaragua instead of a remote job to the countries that need it, that will pay well, doesn't really make any sense. So that means generally when people are saying they're looking for work in Nicaragua, they're really a lot of people say it and what they mean is, can I work remotely to the US? Of course, yeah, that's great. We have to be careful with how we phrase it. But if you're looking for work in Nicaragua, chances are you're looking, can I be a bartender? Can I be a waiter? Can I, work in construction, whatever? Because those are what local jobs are. Can I be a plumber? And those are things that absolutely no, they will never let you do that. And they won't even be happy if you volunteer doing that in many cases, because there are people who need those jobs. Those are not things that you would logically want to be doing. The amount of pay would be so low, and the damage to the economy would be real. You would be taking a meal out of someone's mouth. So if that's something that you need, then one, Nicaragua is not going to let you in for any length of time, because that's the number one thing that they check when you come into the country is, are you financially stable? That's the thing they always want you to prove. Well, two things they always want you to prove. Are you safe? They want to make sure you're not some kind of criminal that's wanted, right? Interpol's looking for you or whatever. They certainly don't want that. But beyond that, assuming you're a safe person, their biggest concern is, can you financially support yourself for the duration of your stay? If you're a tourist, that's 90 days. That's why they check you every 30 days. And one of the things they're checking on is, can you afford to feed yourself? Can you afford your health care? Can you afford to leave the country at the end of your stay? And we talked about this a little bit on the Border Runs episode, that's how this works. And so that's their concern. So if you're in a position where you would want the extra income from a $200 a month job, they're going to flag you almost certainly. And you may not be able to even get a tourist visa extension. You will certainly not qualify for residencia. That's why residency is based on, there are exceptions, matrimony, for example, but even that requires proof of income or the ability to be supported. But the standard residency options are retirement, and in doing so you have to prove that your retirement is able to support you, or investment. And when you do the investment, not only are you proving that your investment can support you, but that your investment can support other people too. It's a very large number. Not an insurmountable number, but a large number, right? And so that's the key concerns in all of the residency stuff is, are you safe? Are you financially stable? If you're in a position where looking for work would make any sense, you are out of luck. Now, of course, you can not work. In America, we often merge some of these concepts, and so we'll say things like, well, but I want to open a restaurant. Yes, that's investing. That is entrepreneurship. That is not taking a job. That is a different thing. Whether you're going to be able to work in your restaurant as a chef or as a waiter, typically you can, but can you pay yourself? No, you're going to have to make your money probably through your investment payoff at the end, so it's a little bit complicated. So a lot of people that I talk to, what they end up saying is, well, I want to keep myself busy, and that's absolutely fine. If that's why you're looking for work, great. You either need to keep yourself busy by working remotely or by volunteering. You want to go teach for free, teach English or whatever. If you're watching this channel, chances are you speak English. Go teach English. That's wonderful. They need English teachers and they can't afford to pay them. You have great benefit potential to the community. Do you want to go do gardening? Do you want to teach skills? Do you want to get involved in a community? Do you want to build playgrounds? All those things are completely fine. You can keep yourself busy very easily, even doing work-like projects. You just need to make sure that you are adding to the value of the country and not taking from it. And I know that people aren't meaning to take value from the country. That's not why people are out looking for work. They're just looking to make income. But when you look at the scale of income and the way the economy is structured and the unemployment numbers, it makes sense that it is not really of interest once you're on the ground to look at working locally if you have the option not to, and they just need to protect the local jobs. There just aren't enough for people to come in and take them away from the locals. And part of that is that the number of potential expats, if there was work, that could take jobs is so many. The United States has 330 million people. Canada has 35 million people. England has 60 million, 65 million. The number of English speakers alone, who often are in the pool of people who would visit Nicaragua, is such a large number, and the actual size of Nicaragua is only 6.5 million. And so it's so many orders of magnitude larger populations that even if just 0.1% of those countries said, ooh, there's great opportunity in Nicaragua to go take jobs, they could take every job overnight, and those other countries wouldn't even notice, and Nicaragua would be completely devastated. So it's very important to also think in terms of what a small country this is and how little changes in policy can accidentally cause flooding to come in or out because of the giant neighboring countries. So they have to be very careful that all of their policies encourage good things for them that don't cause massive influxes or outfluxes of resources that they didn't expect. So all those things together, yes, there are great opportunities to come to Nicaragua and work from there. Then you can do great things for the country and great things for you, because your cost of living will be so much lower than basically anywhere else, and your safety will be great, and your ability to work from home. I'm going to do another episode on just how great it is to work from home in Nicaragua, to work remotely from Nicaragua, because it is perfectly set up for that, and the government has gone to great lengths to make sure that it is an ideal country for that, not just politically and financially, how it's structured with taxes and allowances to work and residency and all that stuff, but also its infrastructure. They've really put an effort into this. So we're going to talk about it. And that's what I do, right? So I have direct experience in this over a long period of time, because that's what I did 7 years ago as well. I'm not new to this. I've done it in many countries. I've done it in the US. I run a company that makes it possible for companies to do this. I run, this is exactly what my company does: remote work, IT, staffing, all those things. So this is a specialty of ours. We know how this works in many regions over many decades, right? So we have a very good scope. But it is not a market where you're going to come and apply for a job, no matter what field you're working in or what you're interested in doing. So if you want to do something on the ground, absolutely. Invest, increase the size of the economy, absolutely. Or volunteer, get involved, and do something good for the community. Get out there and garden, build playgrounds. I know people who build bathrooms, right? Ecologically recycling outhouse type structures, right? That's needed in some rural areas. The country is developed. You got, sewage and all that stuff everywhere, but there are still very remote places that could use help even with things like that. So, or teach English, lots and lots of options. But work is not really one of them. Thanks for joining me. If you stuck around Thank you so much. That's awesome. Remember to like and subscribe, and I hope to see more of you investigating Nicaragua. It is such a wonderful place. We love being able to promote it and tell you about it and help people understand what it's like and what the opportunities are like there. I'll see you all tomorrow.